don't know why it's sitting beside me. I don't know how it got there. I've not seen this thing in years, and it's suddenly beside me. I don't know how it got there.
Yeah. So for any audio listeners there, that's James pointing his Green Lantern ring at me through the video screen as if to cuss me or something. That's how he's introducing himself. So introduce yourself, James.
I I'm James, and Peter cussed himself years ago.
Right. And I'm Peter, and this is Two Idiots Talking the MCU. So we're just going to discuss the MCU today, the whole thing from Iron Man onwards. We're not going to discuss the films that came before that much. If you want to do a basic cover of them, or you want to start do the MCU.
I just did the MCU.
Alright, that's fine. You can see how organised we are. I think that was a general plan, but I was wondering if James suddenly had gone a bit far in his research.
No, I just could be asked bringing the rest over to give myself some visual aids.
Right. So it's been about a month since our last one, so we're pretty lazy, but it's more unmotivated because we're in lockdown and it's hard to really get motivated, isn't it?
Aye.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to do anything.
Yes. But we're here again, we're here at last, and we're going to do the MCU films. So we'll start at the beginning with... So we're just going to discuss each one. If one's come up that we've already discussed, like in the Spider-Man film, we'll probably not cover it as much depth as the other ones, but that's because you can go and see another video to find our in-depth views on it, or as in-depth as we get in these discussions.
Aye.
Yeah. So we're going to start with how the MCU started, which was Iron Man. Now, Iron Man and Incredible Hulk were both released in the same summer. That was the big splash. And everyone thought Hulk would be the big hit and Iron Man would do okay, because...
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Hulk was a well-known character, and everyone thought Iron Man... It was kind of a character that no one cared that much about. It was like a minor B character, really, compared to something like Spider-Man or Hulk or even Thor. Even Thor was bigger than Iron Man, really.
Especially at the time in comics.
Yeah. So Iron Man was not a big thing. But Marvel got lucky because they cast the right person. And I think it also helped they could change a lot because Iron Man wasn't that well known, so they could do what they wanted, keep what was good, and throw out the stuff they didn't want to use anymore. So that gave them a bit more of levity, which actually I think helped films generally, because it means they could be faithful, but they didn't have to be to the letter faithful to the comics. Am I right with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did a terrific cast in Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, and they hired Jon Favreau to direct it, and that was a very good start for Marvel. So what was your reaction when you first saw this film?
I went to see it just as I love comic book films, so I thought I'd go see this. Not expecting too much because I didn't like the Iron Man cartoon in the 90s when I was a wee boy.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan of the character, but I thought I'd read online, like leading up to the film, that this was to start off leading up to the Avengers and all that. That was the plan if it was successful. So I thought I'll give this a chance because I wanted to see the Avengers on the big screen. When I went to see it, I really liked it. I don't like it as much as like the other Marvel movies, but I really like it.
Yeah, because I watched it recently. I watched it like last week again, and it's such a small film compared to what followed. It is. You can see the budget, and the final third pretty much is RoboCop 2 ending. Really,
basically, I
mean those are the two downsides of that film. But the upside is it's very inventive whenever you've got Tony Stark, because Tony Stark's a good character with Robert Downey Jr. playing him. And they do so much with that pretty much powers you through the rest of the film, because that's what they seem to have realised, that's the heart of the film, so they'll stick to that, and the action stuff wasn't as important as the character stuff, really.
When it came out, I didn't even know who Robert Downey Jr. was when the film came out. He wasn't in my spectrum of films that I was watching. I had no clue who he was. The director guy, I only knew from a small part they had in Friends. Yeah. So whenever people talked about his films, I was getting made by that guy that played the wannabe MMA fighter in Friends. That's all I knew about him at the time.
He was in Daredevil.
And he was in Daredevil, but think Daredevil came out not that long before this, a few years, didn't it?
Yeah.
So that's all I really knew about the guy. So I could have went either way for me.
Yeah.
And I remember going to see it with my girlfriend at the time. I really loving it. And we're sitting, she was getting ready to leave at the credits, and I was like, "Don't you leave? I've read online that there's something after the credits." And to be fair, nobody ever stayed there. We were the only two people in the cinema that stayed.
Yeah, that's not a
And she's like,
surprise.
"This better be worth it." Then we go to see the bit with Nick Fury and Samuel Jackson, and I was buzzing. I was like, "Yes, I'm finally doing it." Then she was like, "I stayed for that."
Yeah.
But these days, everybody goes out their way to stay after the credits.
Well, not everybody. Some people. Some people
Most
think.
people,
A lot of
the
people.
majority.
I think a lot of people. I think it's about 20%. The rest go and they think they'll see it on YouTube. I think generally,
Aye.
but some of us stay. So yeah, so that was the post credit stuff, the first post credit stuff. Yeah, but the thing was the characters in that film all stayed for the rest of the time. Like the main characters all stayed until Endgame. Basically, they all kept on coming back. They were developed well throughout the series. So they actually
Aye.
had a very good base to start with. It was a nice introduction film. I mean, it kind of I always feel like the Marvel stuff up to Avengers is sort of the intro, the prologue to what's going to come after it. Really, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the films are smaller, because they had less money involved. This is before they were bought by Disney, or Disney bought them pretty much
Just
when
before the Avengers came out,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, just before they started doing Avengers, I think, and it was before that there was just smaller films, so they didn't feel as epic. They didn't put as much money in because they had a boss who was pretty cheap, apparently. So, you're going to see something else?
So the only thing that I was looking forward to the film that I knew about was Jeff Bridges as the bad guy. That's all I knew. He's the only actor that I really loved in the films. He was like the main reason I wanted to see the film.
Yeah, which is funny because he's barely in it.
And he's my favourite thing in it. He's great.
Yeah, but he's barely in it though. I mean, it's one of those things. Is like he's in it for like what 20 minutes, really.
If that.
Yeah,
If that.
yeah. But it was a great start. But the thing was, for a while until Avengers, this was the best Marvel film. It was viewed as the best Marvel film by most people, and then after the Avengers, it was viewed as a good Marvel film, and now it's kind of it was a nice start type of thing. It's not as well regarded compared to the rest, some of the other ones that followed, but it's still a good solid start, really.
I have noticed. I rewatched it last year. I thought to myself, it's a very dark film, no tone, but visually everything's dark, even in the sunlight.
Yeah.
I don't know why they filmed it having to look dark, even in sunlight.
Yeah,
Everything's dark.
just the style they had for it, but it worked fine for that film. But the thing was, you keep on forgetting how funny it is. You watch it, it's really funny. It's practically a comedy for a lot of the film. And any time Robert Downey Jr.'s in this lab with his little robot minions, it's hilarious because he just abuses the hell out of them, and he doesn't follow any procedures like ever. So that was a good start. Then we went on to the first kind of blunder they had, which was Incredible Hulk.
I love Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, well, you are stupid.
I think it's a great film.
I don't. I enjoy it. It's fine enough what it is, but for me, that's pretty much the weakest film in the bunch. Really, this is the. And then the funny thing is, Hulk's my favourite character from Marvel. Hulk is. This was the one I was looking forward to, not Iron Man. And this one was the first. I really was disappointed watching it because I was like, that's what they did with Hulk, because you barely see him for most of the film. He's in shadows for so much of it, and then you see him, he's just roided up, and it doesn't quite work. I know, but you see him in the designs what followed. He was much more of a character later on. In this one, he's not a character. He's just a green guy who just beats things up. He doesn't feel like a character the way they've designed him. And they spent so much time in the villain, Abomination, which good actor Tim Roth, but there was not that much. I don't think there was enough time spent on the Bruce Banner, really, because
I quite liked Edward Norton in this, but when they recast him as Mark Ruffalo, I wasn't happy with it, but I'm quite happy with Mark Ruffalo now. But I wonder what it'd be like if they kept Edward Norton for the rest of the films.
I don't think it would have worked so well because he's a colder actor than Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo's much a warmer personality, really. So I think
Uh,
it would have been very different because Edward Norton's much more reserved, which I think was the problem with this film for a lot of people was you never really get into the mind of the character. You felt he was too controlled, too in his own head. At least that was for me. So I never really got into the character, even though I love the Hulk character and the Bruce Banner character generally. And this one kind of left me cold. I didn't like the plot much because the plot felt like a remake of the Ang Lee one in a lot of ways. You know,
a wee bit, but done better.
no, done much worse. I love the Ang Lee one. It's one of my favourites.
All right.
Yeah, well,
The Hulk scenes are good in it, but the film itself is.
it's brilliant. He's weird. Um, but anyway, Incredible Hulk's kind of hard one to talk about because no one's seen it apart from a few people like us because it was quickly forgotten when they recast the film, and it was kind of a few mentions to it, but no one really goes back to it that much because it's a different
Like,
actor.
Disney goes out their way to ignore it as something all fierce. When they re-released all the Marvel movies with special DVD covers to build up to Infinity War, they purposely didn't include Incredible Hulk. Every film got a brand new cover, a brand new release, except Incredible Hulk, and it took fans going after that on the internet for them to re-release it with a cover that matches the rest of them.
Yeah, it's also because it's a Universal film and it's rights issues as well. It's maybe they couldn't bother dealing with it, but yeah, it is a kind of weird one because it's a different actor. Some of the continuity continues, some of it doesn't. It's a strange, weird experiment because I just think a lot of people kind of always view it as pre-Marvel. It's not really linked in the same way as the rest of the films.
Even though Robert Downey Jr.'s in it.
I know, but because it's a different lead actor, I think it confuses it a bit for some people.
But they recast characters in Marvel all the time. Look at War Machine.
Yeah, but yeah, that's another one where they recast it for the better.
Although I still don't understand the casting. So I like Don Cheadle as War Machine, but he's like, what, 25 years older than the guy that cast originally?
I don't think he's that old, but
So you go from Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2, and the guy looks like he's aged like 30 years.
yeah, but at least he's
Don Cheadle looks like he's in his 50s.
yeah. The thing is, the first War Machine was kind of a dull characterization.
Yeah.
At least when they recast it, they actually recast with some of some energy. You know.
But it's always been a weird casting to me to cast somebody that looks so much older.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
Uh,
It doesn't bother me at all. So, yeah.
so I like the guy that plays War Machine. It's just that it's always jarring if you're watching the films back to back.
Yeah. So after that, we went on to Iron Man 2, which was
War Machine.
with a different War Machine. Yeah. So we're setting it up well. Because I think basically after Iron Man was such a big hit, the next two were viewed as disappointments. Really, like
I like Iron Man 2. It's probably my favourite out of the three.
it's not mine, but I like it more than a lot of people like it. It was viewed as a disappointment compared to the first one, and it feels too dark and too much set up for the rest of the Avengers stuff. But I watched it last week. And I really enjoyed it. It was very flawed. It is all over the place as a film. There's lots of subplots that take forever to get where they're going, and I don't quite know what the master plan of the villain, Mickey Rourke's villain, actually is beyond kill lots of people. He just seems to have a general kill everybody master plan.
He's Russian.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I quite liked him in this film. He was really good in it. It's just that they made the mistake of mashing two different characters together into one weird amalgamation in the film.
Yeah, it was a kind of a weird character, and the Justin Hammer character was fun as well. But
Oh, he's brilliant.
I know
It's the best thing in that film.
but there's not much of a threat to him there. It's just like the villains seem unbalanced, and there's so much time spent on the hero dying thing. And
Aye.
I think there's a kind of thing where I think there's somewhere in the middle it gets a bit lost, and it almost feels like there's a scene or two missing in there that would have clarified a lot of stuff.
Aye.
That's been my feeling generally with the film. Is there's a couple of things in the middle that could have been there to help, to have helped the film a bit more. There was a couple of things missing, but I still enjoy it though. I mean, it is flawed. It's very flawed. But I'd much rather watch that than Incredible Hulk easily, because it's a much more interesting film than Incredible Hulk, really. For me,
I'd probably choose Incredible Hulk over it myself.
why?
I like Incredible Hulk. It's one of it's probably one of my top 5 at the whole MCU.
Really? That crappy thing?
I just like watching something smash the hell out of everything.
No, it's kind of weird. Obviously, we're going to disagree on some of these films. It's but yeah, I mean, for me, those two are kind of the harder sets, Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2. But Iron Man
2 is also introduces Black Widow, even though her Black Widow in this film feels so much different compared to the rest of the films she's in.
Yeah, because I haven't figured it out yet how they're going to fit her in. But the thing is, because she's playing a part in this one rather than being herself, you can justify it as being she's playing a character. She's not trying to be herself in this one, so it doesn't matter so much. You know what I mean? But one thing I noticed in the film was she's so much hair in this one, and it's like, how does she fight with this hair jumping around?
It's everywhere, and it's just all over the joint.
Yeah, and it's like after this one, they seem to have went, okay, let's get this under control, you know.
Let's give her a nice simple haircut.
Yeah, so she can actually fight. Because he thinks she's going to choke herself or something around here during the fight scenes in this one.
Happy Hogan gets a slightly bigger part in this film, which I quite liked.
Yeah, well, he was a director, so he could give himself some fun stuff to do.
I liked him in this film. It's quite funny.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good stuff in here. The final fight scenes is really good when they're going through the big trade show. There's very futuristic.
You get to see full-on War Machine.
Yep, and you get to see the Iron Man do a lot more than they did in the first one. And they can actually start to do stuff, and they've got just the World Trade Fair thing I really liked, because it's a very old-fashioned 1930s type of stylization, really, of something that was popular then. So I really liked that. That was an enjoyable little kickback to the past.
Aye.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's a very flawed film. I think it's a very enjoyable film. It's one of the ones that's better than its reputation suggests it is. Because I think people look down upon it as being too dark, too mopey. When it's not really. It's a bit dark in the first one, but it's not that dark, really.
Another bit of the film that I really like is the big Formula One section. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well, especially when it gets trashed.
Aye, because it's quite different visually for a lot of the MCU stuff.
Yeah, it's like they haven't developed it yet, so they're still working stuff out. The film looks a lot better. This one looks a lot better than the first one. It's like they've rid of the sheen of the darkness of the first one, and now it's lit with a lot more colours, and it's more fun to look at, and the Iron Man suit pops a lot more. So it is very enjoyable, but I just think it lacks the simplicity of the first one. The first one was pretty simple. Iron Man gets caught, finds his soul, and fights back against people oppressing him and threatening him. And this one is more complicated because he thinks he's dying and he's trying to deal with that, and I think it's a bit too clunky, but it's still enjoyable. Okay, well, now we're going to go on to the post Iron Man 2 bit where they actually had a bit more money and started to expand a lot beyond Iron Man, because this was a big thing. What?
They were a bit more adventurous, like so trying different characters now.
Yeah, I think it was a case of because Iron Man was such a hit, it was like, can they do that with other characters, or will they be a one-hit wonder? So they announced they're going to do Thor, and we're going to do Captain America. Now, Captain America was the one I was like, dicey. That's dicey. Thor seemed dicey as well, but not quite as dicey, because Thor, they hired Kenneth Branagh to do it, and that was the next one out, and you could see with his kind of theatrical training that he would probably ground it, but make it fun. And Thor's had a bad reputation over the years after some of the other ones came out, But I really enjoyed
I
Thor. Thor was enjoyable.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a smaller film, but because it takes place mainly in Asgard and a small town,
Mm.
but it's sort of focused on the brother relationship between Loki and Thor, and always been the strongest part of those films, and
Aye.
that's what they focused on. Is like that's what it's about, and that's what gave it all of its weight, really. You know.
Thor was a bit too serious in the first film, though, but they started to fix it as his film appearances went on.
Yeah, he was much more of a straight man compared to the other characters. The other characters were funny around him, and
Yeah.
he got to react to them, but he was a bit more serious. But he had more of an arc that was serious because he was going from being self-important to being someone who was cared about other people. So you couldn't really make him like that in the first one anyway, because the whole arc was he's too serious with himself. It would be hard to have him having jokes with that.
So I was buzzing for the Thor movie to come out because before for my three main Marvel characters for comics
Yeah,
are Hulk, Thor, and Punisher.
yeah,
They're my three main characters. Also Ghost Riders in there. So they're my main characters. So like Hulk and Thor going into the MCU, I was like buzzing for Thor to come out because at that point I was buying Thor comics every month, like for a couple of years before the film came out.
yeah,
So when the film came out, I was like, oh, I'm loving this. It looked like the character, the comic, the costume looked pretty accurate.
yeah.
So I was quite excited for the film to come out. And when it came out, I really enjoyed it. I didn't think it was the best film ever, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good stepping stone film. I think they were a bit nervous because Hulk hadn't done as well as they thought. The Incredible Hulk, and it was like I was stuck with just Iron Man. But I think this one, they kind of they learned from Hulk of actually having I think this one did a much stronger story than Hulk did. Really,
Aye.
it's a
I
general.
think you've seen this film a week before me.
Had I?
Because you told me it was, because I remember you went to the Apollo to see it, didn't you?
I can't remember.
Because I think I remember asking you if it was worth going to paying to see it. But I just went to, I think I went to somewhere in Glasgow to watch it.
So what did I say?
I think you said it was worth going to see. You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I think I walked past you somewhere and I bumped into you and asked you about it.
Well, your memory is weird because I didn't see this in the cinema.
You must have seen it somewhere. You seen it? You seen it before me?
All right, well I saw it in DVD. This one.
Maybe you knew somebody had seen it and told me they enjoyed it.
Yeah, maybe that was it. 'Cause I never saw this one.
I remember you telling me it was worth going to see, and I remember, all right, I'll go see it.
Yeah.
I went by myself. I was going to take my girlfriend at the time, but she ended up working. So what I think I remember doing was going to the Odeon next to her work and just getting her after her shift.
All right.
And going-
Yeah. So, but this was an enjoyable film. The cast was fun. Everyone was having a good time, and you also got Loki, which was perfectly
was
cast.
brilliant.
It was just so perfectly cast because you liked him even though he's a villain, and he's been like their kind of most valuable player as a villain since then because they don't use him all the time, but whenever he turns up, everyone's really happy to see him because he's such a good villain. You know,
Aye.
he's so interesting. They always switch it around a little bit with him, so he's never quite the same. And
The human characters were actually pretty good too. I was expecting them to be like the dullest part of the film, but I thought the way they all interacted with each other was quite funny. But you've got that Eric guy, I can never remember that his name.
Stellan Skarsgård.
You've got him, Hank, he was great, and he was funny.
Yep.
And Kat Dennings is a wee student, and Natalie Portman, she's probably the weakest of the bunch.
Yeah, but I think she did kind of a part that wasn't really written the greatest. Yeah, she wasn't really given that much. She was given the romantic lead, and it wasn't quite as interesting as everyone else.
So,
Yeah, and well, they were giving Tom Hiddleston all the funny lines, you know.
that's true.
Yeah, but I also like the idea of the father and the two brothers trying to fight over the love of the father, and the kind of despite all the grandness, it was all a petty family feud. Really, ultimately, it wasn't really about.
But my biggest complaint with the film was when they went to the planet of the frost giants and they're confronting them, but you can barely make out the frost giants. If you're lucky, you can see their eyes. It's that dark.
Yeah, I know it is pretty dark in that one.
And the thing that annoys me is like the frost giants, they have awesome designs, but you just don't get to see them at all.
I think maybe that is something that to do with the fact that they didn't have that much money in that one still. Maybe they had to darken it down just to hide the limitations. Yeah. I think it's a case of some of it's a case of budget. There's like we've only got so much money here. 'Cause this is before
I
the
think I was just looking forward to seeing some awesome Frost Giants because, like I said, I've been reading the comics
yeah
and they look awesome.
yeah. No, because I mean I remember this film came out. It got some decent reviews, but everyone was a bit sniffy about it. It's like, nah, it's not as good as Iron Man. It's okay,
Hmm.
but I think it grew in people. I think it was one of those ones that it was a nice little film. It was a good step forward. It showed they could do
I
another
think one of my favourite moments in the film is when Coulson turns up.
Yeah,
And we've not even mentioned Coulson. Like he was like the glue that held the MCU together for the first so many years.
yeah. And you also got the first Hawkeye appearance for like 2 seconds.
I like before Avengers, nobody clicked that was just a random agent. But
Yeah,
people like me, and you're like, "That's Hawkeye! That's
yeah.
Hawkeye!"
It actually had some funny lines. It was like, do you want me to do something, or you'll just let him beat everyone up? Which was quite funny. Yeah, so it was a fun movie. It was an enjoyable movie. But I think it's the Captain America First Avenger was a much stronger film than Thor.
Mhm.
To me,
It's much better than expected.
I know everyone's. I was looking forward to it because Joe Johnson directed it, and he directed The Rocketeer, which is a film I adore. So I was looking forward to it. And to be honest, it's still one of my favourites of the MCU films. This one I really love. This one, and it is a throwback film. It is unapologetic. It's a film set in the 30s. It's a 1930s style movie. They punch Nazis basically. They punch people, and people go not miles. It seems, and they're destroying these guys in Nazi uniforms, and they've got secret bases. And the Captain America is a, square-jawed hero. It's like it does everything exactly right, but it does humanity below that because you see him before he becomes Captain America. He's just a skinny little kid who can't get into the army. So I think the characterization was done really well because you got the growth of him from skinny Steve to Captain America, but also
That was done really well.
I know because you spent time with him before he became Captain America. It was like a good half-hour before he got the muscles. But you also just got the style of that era, and it was all done perfectly.
And I think all the actors in the film were really good. The only one that could have been better was Tommy Lee Jones. He just seemed like he was just there. He kind of wasted having Tommy Lee Jones.
But I think he was still fun though. He seemed to be enjoying himself.
If you've got Tommy Lee Jones in a movie, you at least use Tommy Lee Jones. It felt like they basically said, right, we've got a bit of extra money. Let's put a name in this role that's not that big to
Yeah,
get some arses in the seats.
yeah, but it was still very enjoyable. The whole thing was loads of fun. It really worked wonderfully well. It was just it was a nice surprise 'cause that was the one I was dreading. And to be honest, I think the Captain America trilogy of films is the strongest of the bunch, really, of the single hero trilogies. To me, it's the best trilogy.
They're really good films. Like, and in all fairness, Captain America is probably one of my least favourite comic characters.
I know,
But how he is, he's just a dick.
yeah, but they managed to give him a soul in these films, and they made him a much
Aye.
more interesting character. And it was like, oh, I really like this guy because he is square. He's square, and they make jokes about how square he is, and even he knows that he's square.
I dislike Captain America that much. I went out my way to buy the comic that he dies in
Yeah,
when it was released.
yeah, yeah. But the film itself is just wonderful. It really was so much better than it should have been. And
Even the bad guys are brilliant.
I know Hugo Weaving. You never go wrong with Hugo Weaving as a villain.
And the wee guy that played Zola, he was great. I can never remember his name. Toby Jones.
Yeah,
I got it right. I thought he was great.
I know. And that some of those sequences when they're fighting the Nazis, like attacking a train or just attacking stuff in the woods, they all look
That
great.
montage is brilliant.
I know. It's just like non-stop, really cool. Every 10 minutes, you get something out new that's really cool. And it's like, this is what you want a comic book film to be.
Aye.
You know.
The only downside I found personally with Captain America First Avenger was the way they treated the Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
They were barely in it. It's basically Thor's wee pals in the first Thor film. They're barely in it. So I thought they should have got at least their own wee spin-off TV show or mini-movie.
Yeah,
Because they're big comic characters in their own right.
yeah. I mean, they were fun characters, but you never saw that much of them. I think it was just a running time thing. They just couldn't get them in.
And it's good actors playing them as well.
I know. It's one of those things. It's a shame, but that's the way it goes. Sometimes you can only cram so much in. But
Good.
and also there's a good romance in this one. You know, you liked it.
I like Peggy Carter.
Yeah, and you were kind of. It actually was so strong you could keep it going for years as a romance, or whatever it was, and it just becomes something important to the whole story. So, Captain America was a very. I think it was kind of the thing. It was like, oh yeah, Marvel actually does have range beyond Iron Man type of thing. It was like the next big film. It was like, oh, this is good. This is actually genuinely good. But then we come.
And we were surprised with Chris Evans because, let's face it, at that point, all he was known for is being the Human Torch.
And being a bit of a dick in it. Because that character is a dick, and they didn't really redeem him in that film, those films. It was kind of like, yeah, he really is a dick.
So it's kind of like, oh, you want to bring somebody for their films or to these films?
You want to taint these films with that?
But it worked.
Yeah.
These days he's known as Captain America. People barely remember him as a Human Torch.
Yeah. But now we have the Avengers. The Avengers was the biggie. This was the one. I saw this one in 3D when it came out. So
I didn't see this one in the cinema.
Why?
I was unemployed at the time and couldn't afford it.
All right. So yeah,
I waited.
Yeah, so I saved my money up and went and saw it in 3D, and it was really, really excellent. It really is a perfect comic book movie because it is a comic book movie. It's not trying not to be. It's not trying to be a serious film. It's trying to be a comic book movie. You know, because you've got Thor, you've got Hulk, you've got Iron Man, you've got Hawkeye, you've got Black Widow. These are comic book characters, and they embrace it rather than try and hide what it is. You know, which was good about it. Is like they had good character interactions, but everyone looked like a comic book character rather than try and be grungy or something.
Well, that's one thing they did with Captain America, like the pure spandex up his costume compared to what he had in the previous film.
Yeah, and
I think that's a joke in the film, isn't it?
Yeah, because he mocked horribly. It's like, he's like, you really want me to wear this? You know, it's that kind of thing. Is like, they're even making jokes about it, and but Chris Evans pulls it off, even though he's got the most ridiculous suit in the film. He does pull it off, like because he's so like good natured about it all, and you know, and
we get first proper Hawkeye interactions, other than that wee tiny bit in 4. But he's barely in the film. You don't really see him until the last part of the film.
No, but he's a villain for most of the film because he's been brainwashed. I was just thinking, he's a much better villain than half the actual Marvel villains we've had, because he's actually takes apart the Avengers quite quickly. He destroys their base.
Helicarrier.
Yeah, he takes out the helicarrier. He, he gets that guy. He takes out all the stuff they need for the plan to work. I mean, he's pretty effective as the villain.
He's a really good villain.
Yeah, and because he does take them apart, and yeah, it's just a great fun thing because you've got Iron Man and Captain America facing off and not liking each other much for a while because they're.
Same before, doesn't like either of them.
Yeah, Thor's kind of on his own head, I think, though, because I don't think Thor interacts with many people really in the first one. He's much more of a loner, isn't he? Really, because he's the last one there in the film, and he's kind of he's brought in, and he doesn't really. He looks down on everybody because he's a god. Really.
I say, other than Samuel Jackson, I'd say Hulk's the one that interacts with everybody the most.
Yeah.
He's got a bit with everybody.
And Black Widow, she's got along with everybody as well. Those are the two that interact most. Everyone else has their own little cubicle thing of you've got Iron Man and Hulk together for a lot of it because they're the science bros. You've got Captain America going off trying to figure what's going on, and you've Black Widow trying to work for Nick Fury and try and work out what Loki's after. But they're all interacting with each other, and Tony's been a total dick in this one for a while. It's quite funny.
He's an arsehole all the way through it.
It's quite funny as how his you can see what Captain America's beef with him is. It's like, yeah, he is a dick in this one. He's really self-involved and kind of at the height of his vanity for a long time in the film. You know, he kind of needs to get kicked out of him when Coulson dies. But until then, he's a bit too cool for school, which is
Aye.
this is kind of fun to see him finally get knocked down a bit.
When Coulson died, my heart broke. My heart broke.
Did you cry manly tears?
Always manly tears.
All right.
Came out wielding chainsaws.
All right. Yeah.
But I think the highlight of this film was Hulk, though. He was the best thing in it.
Hulk is great.
He finally turned up.
Yeah, because you were waiting for him for so long, and they teased him as the thing that they wanted to look forward to. It's like when you get a little bit of Hulk, a bit more, and then finally at the end you actually got a lot of Hulk. But there's also a really good sequence with, you know how when the helicopter thing gets attacked, with him and Black Widow, and Black Widow seeing him changing. You know, it's a good character moment because she's terrified of him and he's changing, he's losing control, and it's like, that's what I wanted to see in an Incredible Hulk movie, that kind of stuff. Like character stuff with the Hulk. But you didn't get it, but now you get it here.
That was great. And I like the scene with Black Widow interrogating Loki, because that's great.
Yeah. Because
it's probably the only Disney film where a character gets to call somebody a quivering vagina and get away with it.
I know.
It's fancy language.
I know, it was really funny. And also that final half hour when they start attacking New York and you finally get the Avengers together, finally, which has really worked. Because they built it, so they didn't give you straight away, you had to work towards it.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And they worked surprisingly well together.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite good to start with, and it was also fun to watch them fail. Mm-hmm. And I liked the bit with Tony and Loki are together, they're having a conversation where
you like to have a drink.
Yeah, and he's saying like, yeah, I'll give you this. It took us a while to get started, you know. But yeah, it was a good introduction. I mean, I think everybody had a moment really, but it was kind of Hulk. It kind of stole it because everyone was thinking. Actually, it was Hulk and Black Widow, because Black Widow went from a character who people were not quite sure about in Iron Man 2 to, yeah, she's a good character. They want to see more of her now. They kind of fixed the Black Widow character to, like, yeah, we like her. Mm-hmm. And Hulk was like, yeah, we love Hulk, give us more Hulk.
Much Hulk as you can give us.
Yeah. And they always kept back with Hulk. I think they've always been pretty careful not to overdo Hulk, which has always been quite good.
Aye.
So you're always glad for what you get, but you don't get too much of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going on to a film which you and I disagree upon a lot.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Yeah, so have your rant, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
I don't think it's that good a film. I think it's quite boring. It's like nothing happens most of the movie. Like majority of it's just Tony Stark bitching and moaning about himself. And you've got all this stuff with the Extremists, and I hated the Extremist comic storyline. Hated it. And they brought it into a film. It didn't help. It didn't even fix what was wrong with Extremists. I hated it. Hated it all. I didn't know that wee boy was unnecessary for the entire film. You spent too much time with him. That wee boy should have been shot and killed very quickly, so we didn't have to put up with him.
But let's get to your main beef. What's your main beef of the film?
The bad guys.
The Mandarin is the one. Well, you have your rant.
That's technically the Mandarin, or they should never have done that with the Mandarin. They kind of fixed that later on, a few films later. But in this film, that angered me. Why did they do that to the Mandarin? Did a good actor playing the Mandarin, but then it turns out he's not a Mandarin? What the hell is the matter with that?
Well, the Mandarin's coming back in a future Marvel film. You get the real Mandarin. He's going to come out.
They teased that in Hail to the King.
Yeah, and they're going to see the real Mandarin in one of the future Marvel films they're shooting just now. It's one of the ones that get cancelled halfway through for the coronavirus. They have to go back and shoot the rest of it.
What one is that? What's it called? Is it Shang-Chi or something?
Yeah. He's playing, the guy playing the Mandarin in that film is a really good actor. So
a character where like 97% of people have no clue who he is.
Yeah, but anyway, I love Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is one of my favourites of the Marvel films. So we're very different in this one. Everything you hate, I like. I liked the Extremist story. I liked the kid. I liked Tony Stark being confused and having PTSD, which I thought was a perfect way to follow up Avengers, because he had a loss of confidence and he was getting manic, and I liked all that stuff. I liked the villains. I liked the tone of it. I enjoyed the whole film. The only thing I'm not so keen on is I think the end is a bit too big compared to the rest of the film. I liked all this stuff with the plane when they're trying to rescue the president of the plane and they have to get all the people that are falling out. That's a good sequence. Even you've got to admit that's a good sequence.
I like that bit, but there was very, very little Happy Hogan, and he's brilliant in the bits that he was in.
Yeah, but he get blown up. That was the motivation. You know, he was a damn. He was like the person lying almost dead at the beginning of the movie. I mean,
They should have blew up paper pots. We didn't need to put up with.
Anyway, yeah. So basically, James can't stand this film. I adore this film. I watched it this week, and I really, really enjoyed it. Again, I just had such a blast. This is a film I can put on happily and enjoy myself with because I really enjoy it. And James is looking at me as if I'm weird.
I look at you that way anyway.
But then again, you said you love Incredible Hulk, and I'm like, what? What the hell is you on about? This crap.
Incredible Hulk's a better movie than Iron Man 3.
No way in hell. No way. Objectively, it's much worse.
Much better film.
It's much worse. It's boring.
No, Iron Man 3 is boring. That's why it's known as one of the worst MCU films.
No, it's not. Only by you.
No, it's universally known as one of the lowest tier of the films.
No, it's not.
Everyone I know.
Yeah. Oh, you've got a bunch of little friends who have little grudges. It's one of the highest grossing the films. It made everyone watched it
Just
multiple
because it
times.
made money doesn't mean people didn't like it. People liked it.
People went back to see it
When you
again.
look up Iron Man 3, most of the videos and comments you find about it are people bitching about it, that they didn't like it.
Yeah,
compared
because
to the rest.
that's because it's YouTubers who are bitchy, whiny people, kind of like you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They fucked up Iron Man 3.
I adore Iron Man 3. It's great. Don't listen to this fool. He's wrong.
They fucked it.
Well, let's go into...
Iron Man 3 was a child fresh from nursery in Marvel Studios with Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris wandering towards it.
Is that your metaphor?
Yep. They fucked it and left it lying dead on a railway track.
You can see he's very cynical with this film. You should see him in films he really hates.
Aye.
Anyway, I love this film. James hates it. It's one of those ones. Hope you enjoyed the banter here. we're much worse when we're not recording it about some of the insults to films we disagree on.
Yes.
But that's kind of tame compared to what you've said about Iron Man 3 in the past, I think.
Yes.
Well,
Especially when I was walking out the cinema.
yeah. So now we're going to Thor: Dark World, which has a bad reputation, but I like it.
I like it, but I don't think it's great.
Yeah, it's obviously been hacked about
hmm
by the studio, and it obviously had some problems, and it was notorious they never got the script right, and they never could fix the script, and the story does tend to meander a little bit, and it's like it's one of those things where there's lots of good scenes in it, but it tends to kind of wander here or there and not quite have a direction, and it feels like they hadn't worked it out properly, but there's some wonderful stuff in it.
It's one of the films where they've got a good actor playing the villain, but they don't know how to use him.
I know because they give him nothing to do. He's like, and they put so much makeup on. This is Christopher Eccleston, who was Doctor Who. They put so much makeup on him, so he can't really act through the makeup because there's so much on it. It's like you can barely move his face. It's like, well, how you
There's
make
other characters that you could have played. Other characters.
It's just that it's a terrible decision. Like you get an actor who's very animated in his face, and you put so much makeup on him he can barely move. It's like, why would you do that? And the highlight is still Loki. Loki turns up and pretty much walks off the film. There's a very good mood to it. It's very moody and darker, and all the atmosphere's terrific in it. When they go around the different worlds that Thor looks after, it looks great. The actual elves, dark elves, look good. They really look good. It's just the script isn't really there. You just feel that they needed to leave it for like another couple of months and work on the script before they went into shooting it. It just feels that they never quite got it right. Would you agree with that one?
Right.
But there's some good stuff though. Being the finale when they're going through different portals is a lot of fun when they're jumping portal to portal, and the planes going to alien planets, and looking Thor stuck in the subway, and all that stuff's fun. But
it's it's just a bit of a bleh film. It's probably my least favourite Thor movie. I like it.
yeah, I like it as well. It's just one of those ones that's like, I think it's underrated. I like the mood of it. I thought it was well.
Aye.
I thought it was well directed. It was just the script wasn't quite there. I think
Aye.
everyone did their job, but they didn't have a script that was really worthy of everyone else's talents, because it just never quite, the story that wasn't quite figured out yet. Is that fair?
Aye.
Yeah.
There's not much you can say about films. It's just bleh.
Yeah. Now we're going on to I think one of the highlights of this series is Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier's a great film.
And I saw this. I saw this one with you.
We went to the cinema, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw this together. This is terrific. This is just so much fun, and it's a conspiracy theory, but it just keeps on going and going.
An espionage movie, and I like it.
Yeah, it's an espionage movie, but it's got all these action scenes that are all very much to the ground. It's like very grounded action, and despite the fact they're superheroes, they keep the action pretty much towards punching and kicking, and like cars going out of control, and then eventually the helipads go out of control later on. But it escalates slowly, so you always feel you're invested in the action, and the story's interesting because they keep. It's all about the Winter Soldier, who's Bucky, who's his friend from childhood, and it's all the mystery of Bucky, of him coming back to being the Winter Soldier and killing people, and what's going on with Shield, and because Shield turns out to be infiltrated by Hydra.
Aye, which is great.
I know. I mean, everything they take. It's one of those films they take a lot of big chances with it, and they all come off, because this is the Russo brothers came to do this one after doing a lot of TV. They did Community, they did Arrested Development. This was their first big film. They'd done a few films before that, but none had really worked commercially. So Marvel took a chance on them, and it really worked out for them, because this was a film. I don't know anyone who doesn't love this film or doesn't at least like it.
Same.
It's like,
I know people. They're not big superhero fans, but they love this film.
yeah, because it just works. It's just an enjoyable film. Even if you don't take it seriously, it's fun. It's just fun.
It introduces Falcon too.
I know, and yeah, but Robert.
That's a dodgy character to introduce, because traditionally the Falcon just looks stupid.
Yeah.
So this film was, oh god, what are they going to do? Why are they bringing the Falcon into it? Brings them the better, but the way they did Falcon was brilliant.
It's also they didn't bring him in as Falcon till later. He was a character for the first 2/3 of the film, until he got his wings. Really, till he had the wings, but you didn't put them on until 2/3 in. So you knew the character first, and then him as a Falcon. So you actually liked the character first, really. We also had Robert Redford as a villain, which was nice.
That's true.
That was a nice move, and so you got a lot more of a Shield and how they worked, and you got the Captain America character having to deal with the real world and the world of compromises, and
No compromise.
yeah. So it's one of those hard ones to talk about, because it just works. It works so well. It's like, it's just a case of just go see it.
I like all the connections to the first Captain America movie, despite them being set like 70 odd years apart.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
You've got Wee Zola turning up. You've got obviously the Winter Soldier turning up. It's like they could easily just had a different character in place of the Winter Soldier, but they chose to continue that for the first film. A character that most people from the first film probably forgot about.
Yeah. Yeah, but it can work well, because they bring him in, and they slowly reveal who he is, and it doesn't matter if you've seen the first film or not, you get its importance to the main character.
And they kind of flesh out like characters that have been on screen a few times that you didn't know much about, like Black Widow, Nick Fury. They fleshed them out a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Black Widow got to have some jokes in this one, which was funny, because she's kind of like she has jokes about war games and stuff like that, which makes joking. Yes.
And fossils.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she makes jokes about his dating life and all that stuff, and it's like she's a much more interesting character. They actually have starting to flesh her out a lot more now, in these films.
Aye.
So, and her and Cap become a really good combination of characters because they're one's cynical and one's idealistic. So it just works as a nice kind of combo.
And I loved it when Hydra was revealed because like all these minor characters that have been in all the other films leading up to this, most of them turned out to be Hydra.
Yeah, and it
So when you rewatch the older films, it tends you're like, you're a bastard.
yeah,
I know you're a bastard now.
yeah, you know what they were up to, but they play them well, so nothing kind of contradicts what's happened before. It's like it makes sense. They were undercover, so they weren't going to reveal themselves until they had a chance to get the master plan working.
Aye. But I think everything in this film just works.
Yeah, it's
I think that I'm just trying to think if there's some edit I can complain about this film, but there's no.
no, it's one of those ones that just deliver. You know,
I think the only thing that doesn't really build up is Baltog, the Leaper guy. It's like they use him at the start of the film, but then he's gone.
yeah, but that's minor.
And like he escapes, but they never bring up the fact that they no coat him.
Yeah,
So it's as if they were going to use him again, but they never used him again.
maybe they will eventually. Maybe.
Hopefully, because he's a decent character.
Yeah. So now we're going on to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel's having a very good year this year.
Well, when they first announced this, there was mad backlash about it. Mad backlash. It was like nobody knows who the Guardians of the Galaxy are. Why he's making a film about them?
Because
I'm not gonna lie, I was one of these people. I was like, who the fuck are the Guardians of the Galaxy?
but that's why it was good to do a film about them, because they just had a big hit with Avengers. So why not take that and actually use it to try something that's
Different.
different and difficult and just
I don't think I was sold in this film until I seen the first trailer.
because no one really knew who they were, and it was just like I was interested because James Gunn was directing, and I liked his two films. He did Sliver, he did Super. They were both really good.
I like as well, and also the Scooby-Doo's.
I cannot believe you actually said that seriously. That's
I like the first Scooby-Doo movie.
see what I'm working with here.
A part of my childhood.
Yeah, you should have been drowned at birth.
So it revealed that Scooby-Doo is a villain that we always knew that he was.
Yeah. Anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy is another one that just really works. I mean, this was this was when Marvel suddenly looked like the studio could do no wrong, because they hit two big hits that everyone adored back to back, pretty much. I mean, with Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, they were like, it felt that they were doing no wrong, because these are two films that no one really had any real beef with, really, because most people loved them. Most people really enjoyed the characters, they loved the atmospheres, and Guardians had a really fresh take because it was a superhero film without superheroes, because they were in space, so they were it was definitely different, and you had characters who were very flawed, like Peter Quill, who's the lead character in Guardians. Yeah, I mean, the big joke about him that goes on as the films go on is he's not the brightest. But by the time we get to the Avengers movies, it's a kind of common joke that he's kind of dumb at times. But even in this film, they don't give him that much respect. But you've got Batista as Drax, who's hilarious and pretty much the most literal person ever.
He was surprising because when they cast him, I was like, I like Batista, but I can't see him acting.
Yeah.
And it worked. It just worked.
Yeah, and because he was very subtle with the little things he was doing, so he wasn't. It was like a guy who was never in the joke, but he played it straight because he knew that's what was the joke. You had Zoe Saldana as the leading lady, and she was great. She was green, and you didn't care. It didn't really matter. It was like, that's a skin colour. Who cares?
Gillian.
What?
Having Gillian. I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Yeah, as what started off as Nebula, and she started off as a villain, but they did a lot more with the character as it went on. As a character, I liked the first one, but I like the character a lot more as they developed her.
Aye.
Because the first one, she is kind of a cipher. She is the revenge, freaky, angry, kind of a sullen teenager with weapons, you know.
Aye.
But she develops as she goes on. You've also got Rocket and Groot, who's basically a raccoon and a walking tree.
Yeah, Rocket's brilliant. I love Rocket.
Rocket's so sarcastic. He suddenly becomes the star of any film he's in. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as and once they put him with Thor, Thor's like his greatest sparring partner ever. But Rocket's terrific, Groot's terrific and very sweet, and just and again it's a character they did a lot with as they went along. They started to find funny things to do with him.
Just a big lovable dope.
Yeah, and it was funny in the first one. He is so amiable and he's almost like in the world of his own. He doesn't really notice what's going on half the time. And
Aye.
I mean, the only downside of this film is the villain's not that developed, but it doesn't really matter because you don't care. It's about the heroes in this one. You don't really care about the villain so much.
And your first major appearance from Thanos.
I know he'd been teased, but this is the first time you saw him. I think this is when they announced that Josh Brolin was going to be Thanos. Did he play him in this one, or was it?
I played him in Guardians.
Yep. Like I know it had been announced, but I think he must have shot it before it was even announced that he was playing Thanos. So it was,
I think the only time we didn't play him was after the credits in Avengers.
yeah. But this was the first introduction. We didn't get that much of him, but you got enough to know he's a threat. That's all you needed. They didn't fill too much in. But Thanos was great. The whole film was just so much fun, and there's so many silly bits that really work. The soundtrack's amazing. The action scenes are nice and dumb, nice and silly, because they know they're silly, they're not trying to be serious, and a lot of the action scenes are there almost to like have weird bits of humour within the action. I find there are lots of moments of like characters doing silly things within the action, not realising, what have I just done? There's lots of that, which really works. It's almost like they kind of stumbled their way through the film and survived in spite of their own stupidity half the time.
It also shows that you could easily make a bunch of Marvel movies that are not connected to the rest of the films, but set in the universe, in space, that could work.
Yeah, they took a big gamble
So,
with this one, and it really pays off because it meant they could go into space whenever they wanted to, and it always just be a throwaway. They didn't have to establish too much about it. So
they
Guardians,
didn't need to continue it.
yep. After Guardians, we had Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yes.
Or was that the last?
I quite liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed Age of Ultron. I think it's underrated. I think it kind of has the same thing that Iron Man 2 has. There's too much in it. There's too
They
much.
squeezed too much into the time they've got.
Yeah, and it means that they don't have a natural. They've got bits where I think they have to rush through scenes to get to the point. Because it's one of those films you see the deleted scenes, just like why was that cut out and why was that cut out, and it was cut out because of time limitations, and it should have been cut out. It should have been longer. It should have been 20 minutes longer if the film would have worked a lot better. Really.
Aye.
Because if you see that in Infinity War, they did 20 minutes more and it worked so much better. And I think this was probably the film they realised that on. There's like some films need to be longer than 2 hours 20. And I think they kind of realised through this one that not to do that again. Because this one suffered a bit from that. But it's still got lots of good stuff. I mean, it's more complicated than the first one. You've got Tony making a massive error. With his ego gets the better of him when he faces Ultron. So basically your lead Avenger's kind of the villain for most of the film because he's the guy who set the villain up and the villain's just obeying orders created by your hero. Which is a nice
Was that what caused? Because of what Scarlet Witch put in his head?
No, I think Scarlet Witch just showed him his fear and then that he kind of pushed it further because he was run by his own fear. Really.
Aye.
You see, she said, we don't have to do anything, he would do it himself. So basically, he created his own problem because he was working with one of the Infinity Stones. They kind of filled in the gaps for him and they helped him get to the point he was trying to get to, and turns out it was a bad idea.
Aye.
So that's why you get a lot more Avengers working together because they actually know each other now. So you get a really funny scene when they're hanging out in the party. They're trying to lift Thor's hammer to see.
That's brilliant. I love that scene.
Yep. And there's a lot more banter and people are making jokes. Like Tony asked Hawkeye if he can get a new personality and stuff like that, which is a funny joke.
You've got like Captain America, Hulk, and Black Widow joking at the bar and stuff.
Yeah. And it's It's just lots
And
of.
it's the kind of thing you expect superheroes to do, especially War Machine, wandering about telling his stories.
And nobody impressed. And there was like,
Because we do that kind of stuff too. What are you talking about?
yeah, I know, and it's like there's lots of funny stuff in it, and then Ultron appears with James Spader as Ultron. Now I like Ultron a lot in this film. I think he's a really wonderful
Aye.
character. I get it's just cause there's not enough time. You feel like it should have been another couple of scenes of him that would have fleshed him out more and it would have worked better. I guess he's a
Mhm.
victim of the running time. And you get Vision coming up, and Vision's perfect. Vision's like
Aye.
perfectly realised character. The Paul Bettany, who was voice of Jarvis, the Iron Man computer, suddenly becomes Vision, and he's like one of those perfect casting things that just is like, I can't believe no one ever thought of this. This is like just so obviously the right guy to play this. He's got that
Aye,
other.
'cause Vision in the comics was very bright and bold, but they've done a good way job of translating that into film,
I
so he
don't.
doesn't look out of place.
Yeah, he's that otherworldly feel to him. That he's not quite human, but he's not quite. He's sympathetic to humans.
Mm.
Yeah, and there's not much Thor in this one. Thor's kind of in it and
Yeah,
out
of
of it,
course.
kind
Because he goes his own wee way.
for a long time in it, and it's like it's almost like they didn't know what to do with him. Once they'd done the set up stuff, it was like, we don't need you again till the finale. Just go do something while we're doing these other scenes.
My favourite section of the whole film is Hulk versus a Hulkbuster.
Oh
Just
yeah,
Hulk a rampage.
I know that's a great sequence. My actually favourite film sequence is actually the bit in Shanghai where they're going to get Ultron, and it's basically Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. So it's the three most underpowered Avengers against Ultron, and they're going through the streets, and
Oh,
Ultron
and
blows.
the trucks.
Yeah, because it's like there's people who do not have the powers suddenly facing up against someone who is kind of overpowered. So I thought it was a much more fun sequence because it was like who was involved was more of a challenge for them. Really,
So,
so I kind of like that, and you'd stuff like Black Widow jumping onto the truck and stuff, and she gets stuck inside the truck as it's flying away and things.
he's going to get blown up, and she's like, "No, I'm still on it." Like, what are you doing on that?
Yeah. So and you've also got Hawkeye's family, so you get more of Hawkeye in this one and what he's about, and which I really
When
liked.
I first seen this film, I thought they were building up Hawkeye to be killed.
I know, because I they were really messing with you to suggest that, and
Like, everybody thought Hawkeye was going to die.
I think they were I think even Jeremy Renner was teasing it or something. I think they were all teasing it was going to be Hawkeye. He was going to go, but no, but I mean they set everything up. You got more of his character, and you got there was a lot of funny stuff in it. You got Scarlet Witch appearing for the first time, and she developed in a really good character as she went on.
Quicksilver too.
Yep, who died instantly.
I really, really liked Quicksilver as well. He was funny.
I know he was a funny character, and they just killed him. Just one of those things. It's like he was the guy that died.
It's another one. It's another film that wastes good characters though, because they get rid of Quicksilver, they get rid of Baron von Strucker.
Yep.
Who else did they get rid of really quickly in this film? Well, they kind of cameoed Claw. It later turns up in Black Panther.
Yep. So yeah, but he's his appearance. They don't kill him though. It's
Aye,
they just cut his arm off so they got
they don't overuse him, but I liked what he was in.
yeah. They're setting him up. I think at that point they knew they were doing Black Panther, so it was like this is a setup. But yeah, it was Josh Whedon again coming back for this one. It's one of those ones I really like though. It's an underrated one, but it's one of the ones I have a soft spot for. You know,
Aye,
I'm happy to watch this one because I think it's a fun
I
film.
like it.
Yeah. I guess the problem it's got is it's following the first one, and the other two that's going to follow this are really strong. It's got that kind of in the middle feel because it's stuck in the middle of these other
It's a
behemoths.
middle child.
Yeah. Is that like you?
What?
Middle child? The things
I'm
ignored.
not middle child. There's 4 years. There's no middle.
You're as close as there is to middle.
No, Raymond's closer.
Right.
We're on to Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, yep.
I was buzzing for Ant-Man when they announced that Edgar Wright was going to be making this, but when he dropped out, I was very, very worried about the film. But no, it turned out really well. Paul
Yeah.
Rudd is great.
Yeah. Did we see this together?
I can't remember. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, and
I
it's,
have seen it in the cinema, but I don't remember the cinema experience.
yeah. No, if I'm pretty sure I saw with you this one. But yeah, I mean, it's just a fun film. It's just one of those ones that just works. It's never going to be the top one in any list, but it just works. It's a fun one to watch.
It's more humour than it is action.
Yeah, but the action is enjoyable. It's a heist movie, pretty much. And they're just trying into a building and steal something, and that's it. And they're using ants, they're using miniaturization, and a lot of it's basically what would be a montage expanded to like half the film, with the training Ant-Man to be Ant-Man, and Paul Rudd playing a guy who can't get it right.
Whenever you see him as Ant-Man kicked about with the giant stuff around him, I loved it.
Yeah.
So just back to being a wee boy watching Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Especially when he's running about the grass, going under next to the ants.
Yeah. And you also get Hank Pym appear, who was original Ant-Man, played by Michael
The
Douglas.
white,
Yes. And the character is actually portrayed as someone who's hard to deal with. He's kind of annoying and he's grumpy, and so he's a lot of fun. Yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch him torture Paul Rudd for a lot of the film, like just verbally, just take little pot shots at him, and just you can't resist, just kind of, take little pot shots.
Aye.
And you've got the Wasp getting set up in this one.
With a weird haircut. Every time I watch this film, I was like, what's with the haircut? Who told you that was a good haircut?
It was different in the second one. I think they realised.
They fixed it in the second one, but seriously, the first film, like, Jesus Christ, woman, it looks like you're wearing a Lego helmet.
Yeah. But also had a really good ending where the big finale takes place in his daughter's bedroom and
that's
toys.
Thomas the Tank and everything.
Yeah. I mean that's the joy of this film, is the fact that it knows it's silly. It enjoys being silly. It's like it knows exactly what it is. You'll get Michael Pena as his pal who is very eccentric.
Tell stories.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's just the whole thing is just silly but just very enjoyable. It's one of the ones that you can happily just chuck on and have fun with because it's very light and it's a perfect film to follow the Avengers, really. Because after them trying to destroy the world, having this one was a good film to follow up.
It was just a wee small key thing, but it was big at the same time.
Yeah, it was big enough, but
it was still dealing with the aftermath of the Winter Soldier with Hydra and stuff being involved.
Yeah, but it was just trying to work out how to do a Marvel film that's not a epic, do a character one. So what followed this one? I can't remember what was...
Civil War.
Civil War, wow.
Because remember that I did to build up Ant-Man so that he can appear in Civil War.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought there was something in between this and Civil War, but obviously not.
No. It went Ant-Man, Civil War, then Doctor Strange.
Oh, right. That's what it was. I think, for some reason I was thinking Doctor Strange was floating around.
Because Ant-Man was the last one in Phase 2.
Oh, right.
And Civil War was the first part of Stage 3.
Oh, right. Right, so Civil War.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
This film. Love it.
I definitely saw this one with you.
We went to see this. Now, the thing is, for months leading up to this film, Spider-Man's not in this film. Stop asking about Spider-Man. Then one day they drop a trailer, and he's in it for like 3 seconds, and they're like, Spider-Man's in the film! And they did a great job casting Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
Yep. Now, we've covered Spider-Man before in another video, so we won't go into Spider-Man so much here. But the film itself is really a lot of fun. The film was really enjoyable, because you've got the heroes fighting each other. You get Iron Man fighting Captain America, and they both get justified reasons for doing what they're doing. You can see both sides of the argument, really.
It's aftermath of Ultron.
Yeah, and Tony's a bit, guilty, because everyone knows it was his fault, and he knows it's his fault.
How he didn't go to jail, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I'm assuming he used a get out of free jail free card for saving the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, I've caused that, but you owe me one, so that's us even.
It's kind of like I saved the world. We only did a small incident, and I don't owe your secrets, so shut up. But yeah, he's guilty. He's playing along with the government, trying to give them rules so they don't go out of control again. Even though he was one that went out of control, no one else. And
Aye.
Captain America is the one who doesn't want to sign any accords that would put rules on them because he thinks he can be abused.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
But true.
Yeah, I mean, it is abused pretty badly, pretty quickly. So, I mean, so I think they try to rush it through, and I think he's like, this is not
This could have
right.
easily been a two-part movie, easily.
Yeah, and it's a kind of thing of no one listens to the other person. What's their actual problems?
And they never sat down and spoke at all.
I know, and I think Tony's the worst of that because he's rushing through it a little bit because he's trying to deal with the governments and he rushes through it and he doesn't listen to people who don't agree with him.
I
Really.
mean, the government, General Ross, well, Senator Ross now returning from an Incredible Hulk.
Yep. So everything's coming together there. But you also have the idea of seeing different characters with different views on the subject. Now this came out just after Batman v Superman, which did not do well, and this film was viewed as far superior, even though it's a similar
Aye.
idea. And one of the best things of this film is his villain, because his villain Zemo, and his villain doesn't do anything obvious.
Aye, he
He's
just
the
set them against each other.
he just puts little things in their ear, basically. He just says things. He sets up the Winter Soldier as a terrorist, and he just does little things to manipulate them, and that's it. And the rest of the time, they go after each other just out of their own egos.
Aye.
So, it's a really good villain. He's got a point of view, and you find out that his family was killed in the end of Age of Ultron when the city collapsed on them. So it's like he's got a reason for hating them. You know,
Aye.
it's like you can see his point of view. You see why he's mad at them and why he wants revenge. It's justifiable. And you've also got Black Panther appearing for the first time,
Aye, this is introducing him.
and he's great in this film. He's so good in this film.
I liked him more in this film than I did in his own film.
So did I. I was like weird. It's like he seemed much more motivated. He had much more to do.
I think it's because we got him in a small dose. He's a very annoying character. We'll get there when we talk about his film.
Right.
He's very annoying in big chunks.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Plus, he's got some great killer action scenes of when because he's involved chasing down Bucky when first find Bucky, and it's
Oh,
all
that's
through
good.
Germany. That's a great action scene. It starts off on one apartment, and it ends up, going through the roads and buildings, and it just totally destroys Germany. you know,
Well, you couldn't tell. Germany, it just looks like America to me.
yeah, and then of course you've got the big sequence, which is when the Avengers fighting the Avengers at a German airport, which is
Because Captain America's had to recruit a few people.
yeah,
So it's Iron Man
yeah, because pretty much Iron Man has recruited Spider Man, and he's got Black Widow on his side, and he's got Vision, and
and War Machine.
yeah, War Machine, yeah, and actually, basically, Captain America has Bucky and Falcon, and then he pretty much asked Hawkeye to recruit the rest of them.
He's like, can you get me something?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I've got half a team. You give me the rest of the team. So,
Aye.
so basically, Hawkeye recruits the rest of the team, not Captain America.
Hawkeye can basically.
What?
Is it no Falcon that knows about Ant Man and
Yeah,
it's him that?
but Hawkeye has to go get him.
Aye, but Ant Man's introduction is brilliant. He's just basically like a wee starstruck fan.
Yeah, and also you have Scarlet Witch, who's worried about her abilities, and she's Hawkeye's like to pull her, get her involved.
Aye.
And it's a great scene with her and Vision where she's telling him she's going, and Vision's trying to stop her, and she shows how much power she's actually got. That's a really nice scene.
Just chucks him through the flare.
I know, that's really funny. Just watch him to go whoop. Down he goes.
I wonder how deep he went.
Who knows? But you also get just that fight scene. As everybody gets a gag. You get,
Oh, it's brilliant.
I mean, you get stuff you've seen in comic books, like Ant-Man on Hawkeye's arrow flying towards Tony, which is a really funny bit. There's the bit where Scarlet Witch drops the cars on top of Tony, which is funny.
Right, and you get the reveal of a giant man,
I
which was
know.
that's the best bit in that whole film because even his reaction's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's also how they get him, how they take him down. Is remember that really old movie, The Empire Strikes Back, with Spider-Man?
Uh,
He keeps on quoting movies.
uh,
He's seen,
Machine's like, how old is he?
yeah, and you also get them telling Spider-Man. Usually, you don't talk so much when you're fighting because he's yapping throughout the fights.
I was
Like,
asking him about their gear. I was like, what's this? What's that made of?
yeah, yeah, he's just overexcited about meeting these people, never been fighting them, and
I,
it's like so. Spider-Man's great in this. All the characters have a great time fighting. And the drama's good because at the end of it, nothing's solved. Basically, half the characters are on the run from the government, you know, and
yeah,
they've discovered the conspiracy, but it's not resolved in any way. It's like,
I haven't fucked.
yeah, Zemo did win, ultimately. He did what he wanted to do. He did break them apart.
hmm
And this is the end of the Captain America trilogy, and I think easily the strongest trilogy in the series in the
It's a
MCU.
good trilogy.
Yeah,
You can easily just watch those three films by themselves and it'll be good.
yeah, because it's all the best of everybody in it, and all the characters in these films. Again, it's the Russo brothers, and all the characters, even if they only come in for a short time, they've got so much to do. Like if you think about it, like Scarlet Witch is in this film for like what 20 minutes, 25
Yeah,
minutes.
she's not at much.
But she's got a lot to do, and it's really impactful. You know what I mean?
hmm
It's a
It
lot.
builds a character, yeah.
Yeah, like all the characters who come in Captain America's team, they've only in it for a very short time, but they've all got stuff to do, and it's all impactful. So, really,
And that short bit of time that Spider-Man had was better than anything for the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
I know, not hard though.
Just that wee 10 minutes he was in that film.
Yeah, and it just works so well, and the finale is great when Tony finds out that when a soldier killed his mother and father, and he just goes for revenge, and it's just because it's just so brutal. It's not like a fun sequence. It's a brutal sequence. Is there having Captain America fighting for real, you know, full on anger. So it's a pretty brave movie, and it really worked. And it was nicknamed Avengers 2.5 because it pretty much had most of the Avengers in it.
Aye.
But it really worked. It's how a film works on its own outside the Avengers. It just is a funny, dark film. It's
It could have easily just been called Avengers Civil War.
yeah. So now we've Doctor Strange. Is that next?
Right, Doctor Strange.
Right. I'll let you start on Doctor Strange. I'm going to talk.
Doctor Strange, my only experience with Doctor Strange was the animated Doctor Strange movie that came out in mid-2000s.
Yeah.
So I didn't know much about the character. I thought it was alright, nothing special. It was magic, and the closest thing I like to magic in movies is probably the Harry Potter movies, so magic in a superhero movie with me is a bit weird, but I liked it when they cast Benedict Cumberbatch from Little Inch. I was buzzing because I loved Sherlock, and I was like, alright, movie's got my attention now. Let's see what's going on. They did miscast a few things, which annoyed me. The Ancient One and Mordo.
Yeah, I don't care.
But I was like, alright, I'll get a chance anyway.
Yeah,
But
because James of 18 all this stuff.
hey, yeah, I was going to go on a wee rant there, but I don't want this video getting taken off YouTube,
Yeah.
so I'm going to hold it in. But
Yeah.
I watched it and I loved it. I loved all the visuals. The story itself is pretty, yeah, but the film itself is great because of the visuals.
Yeah.
The visuals help bring it all together. The villain is boring as hell.
I like
It's
the
like-
villain.
It was just a waste of a good actor.
Yeah, it's Mads Nicholson who played Hannibal as the villain. I like the villain. I like the character as well. But we could have been more of him. I think
But whenever he was on screen, he was just mainly just most of the time just standing there staring. He didn't do much.
I think you needed more of him, to be honest. I he had the same problem you had with Thor: The Dark World, where the villain cast a good actor, but they haven't expanded the character to be what it needs to be. Really, but some of the visual stuff's great, and some of the action scene now when they're chasing them through the realm, through New York, and New York's folding in itself. It's wonderful.
But they were clearly taking a lot of inspiration for Inception with that.
But I think that was coming from Doctor Strange as well. Though I'm pretty sure that came. They were doing a lot of weird trippy stuff in the 70s. Because I'd read some comics, but not many of them. But I knew Doctor Strange probably more than you did. It's a rare thing. It's unusual. Usually James knows more than me about any of the comic book characters. But in this case, it was the opposite. Like, I knew him a bit more because I liked Doctor Strange. But the end was great as well, where he traps the villain in a time loop, and he can't. The guy can't.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, so there's lots of clever stuff in this one. It is a smaller film than some of the other ones, but it really
even feels shorter, even though it isn't.
I know. The good news though is you've got all these weird visuals now. You've hired Sam Raimi to direct a sequel.
Forward to that. I'm buzzing.
Yeah, so this it is called In the Mountains of Madness, or in the something of madness.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. So this looks like going to be really trippy and weird. So I'm looking forward to this because I think
Sam Raimi is one of my favourite directors.
Yeah. So I think this could be really trippy. Plus, he and Marvel worked together on the 3 Spider-Man films, and so they know each other pretty well. So I think they're cooking up something. So interesting.
Plus, that means Bruce Campbell will probably turn up somewhere. That's always a plus in my book.
Yeah. James's man crush.
Bruce Campbell's a god.
Yeah. So
greatest actor alive.
Yes. So Doctor Strange is a minor Marvel film, but a very enjoyable one. It's one of those ones. It's nice to have. It's enjoyable for one. And when you put it on, it's fun to watch.
You could watch it by itself because even though it does connect to the other films,
not much.
You could watch it solo without knowing about the other films, and it would still work.
Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is, because it's set in the magic world. Like, actually what happens mostly happens in a magic world, so most of the characters in the Marvel universe probably don't even have a clue anything's going on in this film. Because so much of it takes place and whenever the one time some destruction happens, Doctor Strange reverses time and he actually has it undo, so no one ever knows it happened. So it's like it's kind of a weird blip. So it's quite a fun little film where they're trying new things, and I think a lot of stuff in this one was setting up for the next Avengers films with the time stone and stuff. So I think they're trying stuff out, see how weird it could get with this one.
I would just say we need to show you where one of the last Infinity Stones is. There it is.
Yeah, and also some of the weirder stuff in the last 2 Avengers movies, I think they were trying to see if they could go as weird as that with Doctor Strange, just to lay the pipe down for this, where it's going to go. Do you know what I mean? So Doctor Strange is a good start, and hopefully it'll get better with the second one because of a good director. So
I'm looking forward to the second one.
Yeah, our hopes are very high. So what next? Is that Guardians 2 next, or
Guardians 2?
Yep. Guardians 2 is one of my favourites, actually. I
really like Guardians 2.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same reputation as the first one, but it's a bit clunkier than the first one. The story's a bit clunkier, but it's got 2 major advantages. It's got Kurt Russell as Star-Lord's dad, and he's having a whale of a time, going way over.
He's fun. He's loving it.
Yeah, he's enjoying himself playing this alien god. And it's got a really moving relationship between Michael Rooker's character and Star-Lord as well.
He's brilliant. My favourite fight in this.
Yeah, and also you've also got, even beyond that, you've got the Gamora and Nebula relationship expands a lot in this one, and you get a lot more about that. And that really works too. And you've got Rocket realising he can't be much of a dick anymore because it has consequences. So you've got lots of... It's full of funny moments and weird moments. It's one of those Marvel films where there's probably too much stuff in there for its running time. That's probably the thing that goes against it. It's probably so much in there that I think sometimes it feels like it's a bit too big for what it has to do. But I think it's still wonderful. I don't really care. It's one of those ones I don't care about its flaws. I just love what works about it. You know?
Yeah. I'm probably the same. I think it's great. It does have flaws, but I just ignore them.
Yeah. It's the,
I just normally know it's me, but I just ignore them for that film.
Yeah. I think that's one of the stuff's so good. It works so good. Like the ending is amazing. It's really emotional. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you really feel for the characters in the end. They've
But
actually,
everybody, aye.
yeah, and Stallone shows up as well in a small
That was
part.
weird.
Yeah, it actually worked though because it's just this character because they cast someone well known and they cast some of these other characters they had around them were well known actors as well. It almost led this thing of there's these other movies you never saw out in space.
Aye.
You never saw them, and it just worked nicely for that. It was just like these are other Guardian movies you'll never see, and that's it.
Mm.
But Guardians 2 is one of my favourites, so it really is genuinely one of my favourites of the movies.
Aye. It's a nice feel good film, man. It's funny.
Yep. But it's also kind of dark. There's moving stuff in it that really works. When they go for
Mm-hmm.
when they go for the heartstrings, they really pull it off. You know. Plus,
Yeah.
give it Baby Groot as well, and Baby Groot is just insane. Doesn't follow any instructions.
Yondu, his stuff, that does pull the heartstrings. It
Yeah,
gets to you.
yeah, yeah, and and Rocket with that no the villain from Yondu's crew.
Oh, Taserface.
Yeah, and Rocket taking the mickey out of him is just non-stop hilarity.
Aye.
Just how brutal he is.
Or try to convince Groot to go get the fin, and he keeps coming back with random crap.
Yeah, it's just wonderful. On to Spider-Man Homecoming, which we've covered in another video about Spider-Man films. So go see that video. But we both like that film a lot.
I both really liked it. I was surprised at how good it was going to be, but I go watch that wee Spider-Man video because I'm not repeating myself.
Yep. Yep. And then what followed next?
Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok.
Yep, which was insane. This is Taika Waititi, introduction to the Marvel Universe. This was the big surprise film because no one expected much from this one after Dark World.
Mm-hmm.
At all. Really.
This is a fantastic comedy action film.
Yeah.
I would say it's the best Thor movie, hands down.
Oh yeah, it's that's kind of obviously the best Thor movie, and he's going to do
It's
another.
probably it's one of the best Marvel movies.
Yep, and Waititi's going to come back for Thor 4. He's already written it, and it's going to be quite into production after the pandemic's over, and this one's another one that's just perfect. It works. It's so silly and so much fun, and basically Thor loses his hammer, he loses Asgard, he's thrown him into a gladiatorial arena, planet Hulk, and deals with Hulk in the arena, and he's dealing with Loki as well. Loki is being Loki.
Smug.
Yeah, and he's introduced to Valkyrie as well, which is a great introduction. And basically, it's like a road movie through the Thor universe where Thor goes from place to place, meeting people, get his own team back together to get back to Asgard to fight his sister, who's Hela, who's the Queen of Death. Basically.
Aye, she was really good in this.
Yeah. And you've also got Carl Urban as her sidekick, who's also...
He was like underused, which another actor underused in my opinion.
But he was so funny though whenever he was used. You know.
It's true.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah. And he's of course Judge Dredd. The iconic Judge Dredd, if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everyone in this film's perfect. Oh, as Idris Elba, finally gets something to do in a Thor movie as well. Get some jokes.
Aye.
And you've got the rock monsters. You've got Hulk as Hulk having bad temper tantrums and complaining that, you know, no one likes him. You know, which is hilarious.
It was weird seeing Hulk being funny as the Hulk and speaking.
Yeah. And it's just been petty a lot of the time and just been silly. But also when he turns back into Banner, and Banner does
freak out for him.
yeah, freak out is amazing. And Banner it has a nice little comeback to Age of Ultron where how he turns back into Banner refers back to Age of Ultron in a nice way. But yeah, this film is just so good. This film is so much fun. it just delivers. You know,
I, I don't want to spoil the film too much
everyone
for
who's
people who've
watching
still
this
seen it.
film, everyone's watching this video, has seen Thor Ragnarok. Pretty
Not
much,
everyone's seen it.
most people have seen this one. It's one of the ones in Marvel films that everyone said you must see, so most people give it a shot. Even my mum's seen this film.
Did she like it?
Yes. And
That's good.
She didn't even like Marvel films, she liked this one. Uh, you know, most people have seen Thor Ragnarok. It's just one of those films that people have seen, and it works. It's just so much fun, and again, Thor Loki continues to be a funny, petty brother relationship that just never stops delivering. You know,
Yeah.
and the end sequence when they actually face off against Hela with the immigrant song playing on it, and
Oh, that's brilliant.
it's just so good. And of course the bit where Banner tries to turn into Hulk and fails miserably when he jumps off the
He
flea.
just hits the bridge.
Yeah.
That, I thought that was fantastic. I was pissing myself in the cinema.
Yeah. It's just so good. You still there?
I muted because I was coughing.
Alright. So yeah, I mean this film was just as wonderful. It just works so well. I took my nephew Lucas to see it when it came out.
Me, you, your nephew, and my son went, didn't we?
I'm not sure, I think so. And I definitely remember taking Lucas with it, and he was mad about it. He just adored it, and apparently wouldn't shut up about it at home.
No, wait, I think that might have been Spider-Man. We took them, all
Yeah.
four of them.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, look at my nephew Lucas just would not stop talking about it. Just
My son was the same. He loved it.
yeah. It's one of those films that just works for almost anybody. And it was a reinvention of Thor from a serious character to a funny character. It was
Oh, that is weird.
yeah, because Thor just suddenly worked. As soon as they actually gave him humour and made him the butt of a joke a lot of the time, and actually let the kind of stuff that he did in the first few movies in little bits become the main part of it, it just suddenly worked.
I think it helped that the actor between all the four films done a lot of comedies and showed that he was good at comedy.
Yeah, it did. But also had a good director who knew how to work that and actually advance it and write it and have him just be the butt of the joke half the time. And of course, you've also got Jeff Goldblum as the guy in charge, who's hilarious.
He's brilliant. Jeff Goldblum's always brilliant, though.
Yeah.
Especially when you see the same photo of him every day for a year.
Yes, which you have. Yeah. I don't think there's much more to say about Thor Ragnarok, actually. It's just like, it's perfect. Yeah, go see it.
It's perfect action comedy.
Yep. So, are we on to the Avengers Infinity War now?
Black Panther.
Or Black Panther? Alright.
I've only ever seen Black Panther once, and that was in the cinema with you. Or was it with Daniel?
I saw it with you.
Alright, with you then. And I thought, alright, it was alright.
Yeah, I mean...
You know what I've used in this film? It's alright, it's overrated to hell just because of the politicalness of the film.
Yeah, I've only seen it twice, and I enjoy it, but it's not the greatest film. The plot's kind of meandering. Like, he's on for two...
As I was just about to say, I've got the Blu-ray in my hand and I just slipped it out the cover. It's still sealed. I've got the Blu-ray and that's how much I want to watch this film. The DVD or the Blu-ray copy is still sealed.
Yeah. I think the real problem with this film, right, for me is the fact I like the villain more than I like the hero. You know?
I thought the villain was a bit, yeah. I think it's because the villain is basically just a mirror image of Black Panther. I like it when it's something different you see on the screen.
No, but I like the villain. The villain had a point of view, which I liked. He went too far, but it was a point of view, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think we both talked to the way we liked Black Panther more in Civil War than we did in this film, his own film, because
he's a better side character, not a main character.
I think he gave him a main character. I just think they never gave him. They gave him dramatic stuff to do, but it was a bit too underdeveloped for me. I just never felt that it was developed in the same ways it was like in Civil War or some other characters in some other movies. I just felt it was kind of just there. It wasn't quite as strong as it should have been.
It's like I knew about Black Panther like for Probably since I think he turned up in one of the Marvel cartoons when I was wee. But the first proper time that I seen Black Panther was in the Ultimate Avengers 2 animated movie because it was the rise of Black Panther. And I thought, yeah, he's an alright character. Why is he getting all this fanfare? And
Yeah,
then I was the same when he turned up in Civil War. I was like, why is he getting all this fanfare? He's an alright character. He's mostly boring.
yeah. He's no Blade, is he?
No, he's no Blade.
Yeah.
Should get Will Ferrell to play Blade though. Or,
That's so wrong.
oh, I don't know. We can find somebody to play Blade. I don't know. We'll get Keanu Reeves to play Blade. That would work.
I don't think people think Blade is white. You know, I think Blade's black. That's it.
Well, if it can work one way, it can work the other way.
All right, that's James's theory. Um,
It's
right,
not theory, it's fact. It's equal rights.
right. But anyway, so Black Panther, neither of us have that much passion about.
I know much to say about
It's
it.
fine. It's
If you
enjoyable for
watch
what
the
it is.
films in order to get the story, you need to watch it. That's how I see it. It's a film that I need to watch if I'm watching for the full story. It's not a film that I'll go out my way to watch.
Yeah, I like it more than that, but it is kind of too long, and there's a lot of films that I like more. But
The only time I'll ever go out my way to watch it is if I'm doing a Marvel marathon in order.
all
Other
right,
than that, I'm not watching it.
right. So and then we've got Infinity War. Then,
Oh, Infinity War. I love Infinity War.
yeah.
Perfect film.
Again,
Absolutely perfect.
Black Panther had a much better moment in Infinity War than he did in his own film.
Because he's only in it for like 5 minutes.
His death scene, the reaction to that was much more dramatic than a lot of stuff he had in his own film.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but Infinity
I
War,
also, it's just a bleak movie, and I love it.
yeah, Infinity War is also a lot of fun though in certain places, like the first fight scene with, Hulk versus Thanos is wonderful, and because Hulk gets his
Aye.
arse handed to him, and then
Badly.
and then when they face off against the Thanos' legions, Iron Man and Doctor Strange meeting up then front to face down against Thanos' people is a lot of fun. Going through New York, you know.
Aye. Then
This,
Spider-Man jumps in.
yeah,
He gets involved.
yeah, and you also get the Guardians showing up and suddenly being involved with the Avengers movies, and you
Aye, they find Thor, and they're just overly in love with him just because of how good he looks.
yeah, apart from Star Lord, who
Mad jealous.
jealous, and then Rocket calls him fat.
Aye.
You're a sandwich away from being fat, and that was a great line. and
Aye.
uh,
It's like an angel and a pirate had a baby.
yes, yeah, and of course it led to one of the best team ups, which is Rocket and Thor. Those two
Oh, they're brilliant together.
those two are just great. Plus, you now get Groot as a teenager, and being
Aye, he's the arsehole.
I know it'd be so funny, just a silly teenager who just doesn't care, and you get lots of funny team ups, but it's funny because there's not that many Avengers in the Avengers movie, really, because Captain America
Yeah,
is in it for a bit, but he's not in it for that much. Hawkeye's not in it at all. Black Widow's in it for like 10 minutes, really.
The thing I noticed rewatching these films a few weeks ago is Infinity War focuses on all the people that's not really in the next one much.
I know, it's like they separate it. If you're in the final one a lot, you're not really in the first one much. But but the thing, it's almost like Gamora's film, really.
Gamora's great in it.
Yeah, she's got a lot of stuff, and so does Nebula, when she turns up. They've got a lot of good stuff, and I mean,
Thanos is just great villain.
yeah, it's kind of weird though, because in the first film it's a Gamora story, and in the second film it's like Nebula's story in a weird way.
Aye,
So it becomes with these two sisters ultimately.
it's like our ultimate redemption.
Yeah. And you've also just got a lot of really cool scenes, like with Tony Stark meeting the Guardians and having to put up with their nonsense.
And Tony Stark meeting Doctor Strange for the first time, and like you can see him working in his mind, like magic's real.
Yeah, and being snarky as hell to each other in the most brutal way
Because it's
possible.
because they're so similar.
They're so they're such egomaniacs, and you've got Spider-Man in the middle trying to just be sweet and enthusiastic, and just getting trounced on with all the jokes.
Captain America's quite good in this. Like, he's grown a beard. The one thing I've never liked about this film, though, is Black Widow suddenly has blonde hair. It's never referenced or explained.
She was just hiding out because they were on the run. That was it.
But nobody references it. Nobody goes, "Oh, you're blonde now." Nobody does it. All it takes is one character like Hulk. Mark Ruffalo should have changed her hair. That's all. That's all I wanted. One reference or comment.
You're a moron. Yeah, this is just so good. And the action scenes are terrific, but the story stuff's really good because you get Thanos' point of view. He's way over the top, but you get his point of view. And also... What?
Yeah. I was going to say, he's wanting to fix the universe by halving the living beings so they can keep surviving. But with the power that he's got, he could easily just double the resources or triple it.
I know.
Or make it infinite.
But I think he wants people to learn from it. To learn how to use the resources. That's the only way to do it, is to traumatise them when you're learning. But I also got that ending because when I was watching it, I kind of figured out they were going to do a cliffhanger, but a lot of people didn't, and you could see in the cinema when he did the snap. Like, I took my nephew to see it, and he did not see that coming. It was like,
did we not go together, me, you?
No, we didn't, because I took my nephew on a Sunday afternoon himself.
See, I remember me and Daniel. Who did I go with Daniel then? Because I remember going in a group.
No, we saw the second one together.
Who did I see? I went with my son and somebody.
Oh, right, well, it wasn't me for the first one.
Oh, it was my girlfriend at the time, I remember now. And I remember, it's like, they're not going to do the snap, but I'd love it if they did it. And then they did it, and I was like, oh, yes! Watching it die, and I could just see, like, children start to panic in the cinema. It was great.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's, it's such a good move, and the film itself is terrific, but they're building up to everybody doing their job and defeating Thanos, and then Star-Lord messes it up to start with, and then Thor messes it up, and then when Black Scarlet Witch almost saves the day, but unfortunately Thanos has a time stone, and he can reverse time, and he managed to get Snap. I mean, the Vision's death is really moving. That really works, and
he just rips that out his forehead.
I know,
or taking half his forehead with it.
I know, it's a really moving sequence, and the whole film just leads to that, and then Thor messes up, and half the universe dies, and it's ballsy as hell for a film to do. That's just ballsy. I mean, a major studio doing that, and it made a fortune. So they're by being that brave, they actually made it work. Because everyone knew it was a part one or part two parts, which made it acceptable. So it did help.
It really did. I loved it. Even though I was having to stop myself from getting teary-eyed with Spider-Man going, though.
I know. You're a big wuss.
I'm a big wuss, yes. Yes, I am.
Yep.
So we're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yep. Another fun movie.
I really enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp. I watched it for the second time a couple of weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing I don't like about it is the female bad guy. She's just pointless. There's no need for her to be there.
I like her in this film. I like that character. I like the performance.
It's like they've already got another bad guy. We don't need this crappy one.
I liked her. You're wrong. You're
wrong.
You're just so wrong in every way. Just look in the mirror and you'll see how wrong you are. It's a really fun film. Again, like the first one, it's not trying to be the be on the end all of the Marvel universe. It's just a fun little disposable minor Marvel movie. It's a comedy with action scenes. You've got Walt Goggins as one of the villains. You've the other villain that James doesn't like, that I liked a lot, because I thought he was a tragic character. You've got Lawrence Fishburne as a scientist who Michael Douglas' character hates. And
he was a good character in the comics. He was he could turn giant, and they've just reduced him to a wee side character.
For now. You never know.
He's too old to be a proper superhero now.
Yeah, but anyway, it's an enjoyable romp. Basically, there's fun car chases with the Iron Man stuff, not the Iron Man, the Ant Man stuff.
Ant-Man.
Ant Man stuff going bigger and smaller with car chases, which is fun as hell. You
He
get
uses a pickup truck like a skateboard.
yeah, and there's all sorts of just nice bits of silliness, and they go into the subatomic
Quantum
world,
realm.
quantum realm, yep, and there's some fun visuals there as well. It's just really enjoyable. I mean, there's not much to say about this point. It's enjoyable. It's really fun. You'll have a good time with it. The characters are fun. There's tons of side characters. The jokes work. The main story works. You know, it just works.
Hmm.
You know, do you have anything else to say about it beyond the works?
I just liked it. There's not much to say about it other than that character shouldn't have been in the film.
Except should have been because you're wrong.
No, you're the one that's wrong in this case.
You're wrong and you're ugly.
No debating, Alex.
I was waiting to see if you could come back to that one. Right, so we'll go on then to the Captain Marvel.
Captain Shit Marvel, the full name.
Obviously, James is not a fan of this one.
Oh, I would have been a fan if they stuck to the source material. I would have been. Captain Marvel, currently in the comics, is a woman, but for years and years and years and years and years, Captain Marvel was a man. But then he realised we don't have enough women superheroes, let's just change one into a woman for the sake of it, rather than make a brand new hero.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done here. They even changed the original Captain Marvel in this movie to be a woman. So there's no male Marvels at all. And they've also made the bad guys in this film into good guys, and they should be bad guys.
Well, the Skrulls.
And it also the Skrulls are always been universally bad guys. They've never been good in the slightest. But in this film, they're good.
I think they're going to switch that around as they go.
And then you've Nick Fury, which I quite like Nick Fury in this, but it contradicts everything he's ever said in the previous movies, because this is a prequel, and it contradicts everything.
Yep. Anything else?
It's like, because Avengers, they said they made the Avengers Initiative because of Thor, because that's the first time they've had the aliens popping up. But no, he's been in this film, which is set much longer before Thor, and he's kicking about with her, and apparently he named the Avengers after her, which isn't true, because they had already mentioned they made it after Thor. Then you've got fucking...
It could have been lying, because he lies a lot.
No, Nick Fury does not lie.
He's a spy, of course he lies.
No, he purposely doesn't say things, he doesn't lie.
he does in this universe.
Yeah. The Skrulls were good as a bad guy. Even though the main Skrull was really funny, they shouldn't have been funny. The Skrulls are evil menaces.
Okay,
Brie Larson needs to learn facial expressions. Is that her name, Brie Larson?
yes.
Brie Larson. It's almost as if she's been hanging about with that Twilight chick and learned the one facial expression that she's got, and that's all she does.
Anything else?
I like the 90s references, that was about it.
Yeah.
I like seeing Blockbuster, I like seeing Street Fighter arcade machines,
Yeah.
but it just contradicts like 90% of the Marvel movies that came before it. And the fact that they thought, oh fuck, we need a woman superhero. Let's just change the man superhero to be a woman now, rather than make up a brand new one. So I've got nothing against women superheroes, but don't change a guy into a woman because you don't have any women. Just make a new woman superhero.
I thought the film was fine. So the more you ranted, I thought I was going to say one thing that was fine, okay.
And that's all I'm going to say about this film. I'm not saying any more.
Yeah. So Captain Marvel, James had problems. I thought it was forgettable. I didn't think it really.
It exists just to pander to the demographic that wanted women. It exists to pander to the alphabet people.
Right. On to Avengers Endgame.
I love Endgame.
Yes.
Endgame is a fraction. It's like 99% perfect. Do I know what does they make it perfect, Peter?
Captain Marvel?
Well, she's part of it. It's that one scene where they decide to have all women power for no reason that makes no reason whatsoever. Half the people were at different sides of the battlefield, and suddenly they're all here because they're all women. That didn't need to happen.
Okay, James, calm down. Get some sleep.
But logistically, it didn't make sense. They were all over the joint. Now suddenly they're all in the one spot. Most of them have never met each other, yet here they are. They all seem to be friendly. They do as if they know each other. No, you don't. You've never met each other.
Okay.
Oh, anger.
Yes,
But
yeah, I realised that.
but overall, I love Endgame. Endgame's great because I just loved everything about the Endgame. I love the humour. I love the action. When you finally get to see all the Marvel people running at Thanos' army, and you get to see Giant Man running with him, it's just and everybody flying beside him. Oh, it just looked amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I liked Endgame as well. I really enjoyed the Endgame. I thought it really worked. It's a great conclusion. And it showed you what Star Wars couldn't do, which was actually end it properly, which Rise of Skywalker couldn't do. But this one could. And
I
again,
like that you said.
I know, but it was a bit schlocky. Um,
Well, I've not seen it since the cinema.
yeah. Well, I saw it last night. It's a bit schlocky. But the Endgame really works, and it starts out perfectly because they start in Hawkeye's family as the snap happens, and his family gets completely wiped out. And that just brings you back straight away to what happened.
It's a heartbreaking start to a movie.
Yeah, it's a brutalising start because pretty much you know he's going to go off the rails big time, and which he does. And then you go to them try to plan out like how to get the people back, and they fail.
well, they first they go to Thanos and kill him.
Yes, I mean they'll try to find out how to get the people back, and they fail because they killed Thanos. Or Thor kills Thanos because Thor's feeling a bit bad about himself because he failed to stop it. And then you jump 5 years later and you realise you see them try to survive, in a world where they failed. And some are doing pretty badly, some are doing okay, some are doing badly. Tony's got a family now and he's okay. Captain America is a bit traumatised still, but not admitting it. Black Widow runs Avengers all around the universe, and she's looks pretty depressed most of the time.
Just sitting eating sandwiches.
Yeah, Hulk has become part Bruce Banner, part Hulk due to
Professor Hulk.
yeah, Professor Hulk. Then we get to the real tragic cases. Thor's become fat and depressed and plays video
He still
games.
looks better than us.
Yeah, no, but plays video games and starts abusing abusive other gamers. And Hawkeye's become a mass murdering psychopath who kills the Yakuza and everyone else because they lived and his family died. And so, it could be better for the Avengers.
Yeah.
And Rocket's alive and he's sending Black Widow emails, apparently.
Aye.
Which is a funny joke. So,
Aye.
and then basically Ant-Man comes back. Ant-Man thought had been killed, and it turns out he was lost in a quantum zone for 5 years. But for him, that was like 5 hours.
Aye.
So they figure out there's a way through the quantum zone to actually go back in time and steal the stones before Thanos destroyed the stones. So nobody could actually use them to bring people back. So they can find a way to actually use the quantum realm to time travel back into the old movies and get the stones. So they're Back to the Future to it.
Aye.
And
even though we discovered that Back to the Future's full of crap watching this film.
apparently. But I'm pretty sure the rules they've written for this film is just as flawed. It's just
Aye.
it's just an excuse of the multiverse, really.
Aye.
And basically, 'cause it contradicts what happened in Doctor Strange. Because Doctor Strange was doing a time loop, which wouldn't make sense in these new rules. So even Marvel contradicts itself. So they have to go back in time through the films, and you see the films from different angles, and you have a lot of fun with it. And eventually it leads to them reversing the snap, and then Thanos has found out about it, and Thanos comes back to kill them all for a big finale, which takes out the Avengers unit and pretty much has them fighting against Thanos.
Aye, which is a fantastic movie battle. I love it.
Yep.
I could just watch that scene, that whole battle over and over again.
Apart from that one moment.
Except, apart from that one moment, I skipped that. I fast forward that. There's no need for that.
Yeah. So there's lots of really great bits in this film. It's a great entertainment. There's my favourite bit though was actually not an action scene, or not a big action scene, which was the Black Widow death.
Aye, that was good.
That was brutal, because basically
when I was watching that, I was like, "Oh my god, which one of them's going to die? Who's going to die?"
And they're fighting each other. Her and Hawkeye are fighting each other to die because they want to save the other one. So they're not fighting to kill the other one. They're fighting to save the other one, which is a really cool idea. And basically, Black Widow wins. So you're basically seeing her. And the whole idea to get a stone is you have to watch the person you love die to get the stone. So there has to be a sacrifice. So Hawkeye has to see Black Widow die, and throughout the whole films, they've been close since the beginning of the series. So it's been built up and built up. So that has an impact, really. And you actually have the next 10 minutes after it all about it. So it's not like they just say, "Oh, she's dead." It's like there's 10 minutes of follow up, really.
Them saying, "Let's go back and get her."
Yeah. So, and then you have the big finale. So, what was your favourite bit of it?
I just love that big action scene. I loved everything in it.
Yeah.
Except that one little moment.
Yeah. Yeah. There's it's also a scene where Iron Man dies at the end as well. It's kind of, everyone knows he died. People knew he died before the film came out. It was pretty much obvious this was going to happen. There's a nice payoff to Captain America as well, where he ends up going back in time and living his life.
Big Piggy.
Yes. So he actually gets a happy ending as well. And everybody gets an ending. I mean, Thor goes from being fat and depressed to be fat and happy. And goes with the Guardians.
The Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. And has a petty fight with Star-Lord, with who's in charge. You have a nice redemption arc for Nebula, because she's gone from being a villain to actually being one of the Avengers who fights through the universe and ends up going back in time to help them get the stones to reverse what happened. So that's a really nice character arc.
So she'll probably take Gamora's place in the next Guardians film until they find her.
Yeah, and also her and Rocket become buddies. That's a nice sequence at the beginning after they come back after the snap. Like Rocket and Nebula, who barely know each other, but they're the two they actually know from that Guardians, really.
Aye.
So they have a nice moment together, and then by the time you do the jump, they're obviously working together for the last 5 years, so it's a nice little character beat. And you get more of Rocket trying to talk around Thor, because Thor's just lost it completely, which leads to lots of funny jokes about Thor and how he's just a disgrace.
Really. Living in Scotland, drinking Iron Brew and beer.
Right, he's living in Norway.
In Scotland?
I thought it was Norway he lived in.
No, Scotland.
Oh well.
It's only like 3 hour drive from where we are now.
I know, maybe they filmed it in Scotland, but I think it was meant to be Norway.
Well, there's Iron Brew bottles everywhere, so it's Scotland.
Alright. So
you can't be Norway with that much Iron Brew.
Alright. So God's come to Scotland to live after the planet's destroyed. That's what Marvel tells us. There's a nice stuff for him and Rocket again, because Rocket just is a total dick to him.
And you get a wee cameo for Korg.
Yep.
Kind of wish he was in it a wee bit more.
Yeah, but it'll be in the sequel. So, you have nice little bits for like Valkyrie as well, turning up as she's kind of takes Thor's job. Really,
Aye.
She does the job because Thor won't do it because he's depressed, and there's just
needs to find himself.
Yep, yeah, and also you get some nice stuff like just the time travel stuff where they go back into the first Avengers movie, and Hulk has to see himself as the Rage Monster after now he's
Aye.
Professor Hulk, and he's so embarrassed by himself. And you've Iron Man, you've got Captain America fighting Captain America, and learning how to
With
lie.
America's ass.
Yeah, and learning how to lie.
Oh, with the Hail Hydra. I thought the Hail Hydra bit was great.
Yeah, and it's just a bunch of funny stuff, and everyone's having a lot of fun with it, and it's just really enjoyable. It's dark when it needs to be dark, but it's also funny when it needs to be funny, you know. And it knows when to be epic, because that last half hour must have cost them half a budget.
Aye.
You know, that was like not a cheap set of effects.
And having everybody there at once.
Yeah,
It was great.
yeah.
I just loved Endgame. I think it's just so close to perfection, but they failed.
Yeah, the thing was, you got all the Avengers back for this final movie, and they all had arcs, and they all had moments, and they all got the one redemption. I mean, Hawkeye was basically, he became less of a psychopath, which is
Aye.
something. You know,
Which we'll see the aftermath about in his TV show.
yeah. Now, I like to know how when he's the one who finds the gauntlet, Infinity Gauntlet, after the explosion, and suddenly half the world's after the guy with the bow and arrow.
Aye.
You know, it's like, oh shit, what's happened to me?
So why am I the one with this?
Yeah, why would I have this? Yeah, and
Can barely carry it.
yeah, and you've also got like Ant-Man scurrying around as a small person within the wreckage of the Avengers facility, trying
Trying
to
to find everybody.
yeah, I know. So they actually find fun things for the characters to do all the way through this film, so that they find little weird little bits for the not so it's not just Iron Man and Captain
Aye.
America getting everything. Everybody gets their little moments. Like War Machine gets lots of nice little bits with Nebula, you know.
Aye.
And then
Iron Man meeting his dad was good.
yeah, I also like
You actually get to see Jarvis.
yeah. I also like knowing about when Nebula and War Machine see Star-Lord dancing without the music, and he's like,
Aye, that's brilliant.
he's an idiot, isn't he? Yep. So yeah, it's just
War Machine was quite good in this film too.
you get a lot of nice. I think once they got him, John Cho in a role, I think after Iron Man 2, they figured it out, and from then on, he's always had some fun stuff to do in the part. They always give him some nice little lines here or there, and nice little bits of business. You know, I think once they worked out where to put him, so he's slightly because a different actor. You know,
Aye.
so that was in Endgame. Now we've only got
Spider-Man.
which we're very
I've covered
comfortable.
that.
Yeah, another really fun film. I like this one better than the first one. I liked Far From Home more than Homecoming. I just like the villain more.
I've seen Far From Home once, so I'd have to rewatch it. I'll need to get it in Blu-ray and rewatch it.
yeah, but I liked the villain in Homecoming. I like Michael Keaton in Homecoming, but I like that villain really. Mysterio is a villain I've always liked from the
Aye.
comics. I've always been wanting to see him in a movie. It's like one of those films like you finally see Mysterio. I was always want to see
Aye.
Mysterio, and I liked how they used him. I mean, that one sequence where he's fighting Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't have a clue where he is because
That's brilliant.
yeah. So they actually do Mysterio proud and they actually make him a logical character. So it's a fun movie. It's the aftermath of Endgame and a lot of the heroes dying, and it works really nicely. It's a nice setup for what happens next. And then because coronavirus, everything's been pushed back a little bit, so you don't want your Black Widow till later on in the year. But it means you've got a
I
nice
would have had it.
yeah, but now it means you've got a nice little break from Marvel movies naturally before the next bunch start up again. So, you know, hopefully that means we'll be ready for the next lot.
Aye.
So,
I'm looking forward to them.
yep.
Although if they're crap, I'll be happy to know that Far From Home will be the last one for me.
Yeah, you can do a cut off if they're rubbish. I think some will be good, some will be bad, just like normal. You'll have good ones, you'll have ones that are not so good. I think Marvel tends to have a certain level of competence to their films, even if you don't like the films.
Aye.
You know, I mean, James ranted about Captain Marvel Most people thought it was okay, nothing great. It wasn't as good. I mean, Shazam was so much better. It came out just at the same time. It was, which was another
Right.
Captain Marvel from DC, basically. That was far
I've
superior.
still not watched it.
That's great. It's really so good. But the Marvel stuff's been good for you to talk about. I think we've gone over 2 hours in this one. This is, I think the idea was we'd take about an hour, but we kind
And
of
that's
went.
where I was glossing over a couple of them.
I know. Yeah, that's where you ranted about one of them for like a good 5 minutes.
I deserved it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we hope you enjoyed this. We thought we'd do the full Marvel thing, and it's probably more ambitious than we planned. But what the hell? We're in lockdown. Nothing else to do with our time. And if you've reached the end of this video, you obviously don't have anything to do with your time as well. You know, am I right?
Can you say that again? I blanked it.
If you actually make it to the end of this video, you obviously do not have anything to do with your time.
That's true.
Yep.
Or you've blanked out like I did and you didn't realise you made it to the end.
Yeah. That too, yep. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.